Red Dreaded Nation, what is up? It is your boy Akasan. So the time has finally come. Justice League has arrived. Have all the changes and all the different things made things better? Has it gotten the general audience on board? Or, once again, will the hardcore DCEU fanboys be saying, damn, it's just us? Let's find out right after this.
Come together right now over me.
Fueled by his restored faith in humanity and inspired by Superman's selfless act, Bruce Wayne enlists newfound ally Diana Prince to face an even greater threat. Together, Batman and Wonder Woman work quickly to recruit a team to stand against this newly awakened enemy. Despite the formation of an unprecedented League of Heroes, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and The Flash, it may be too late to save the planet from an assault of catastrophic proportions. So unlike most of my reviews, I'm going to do this one a little bit differently and get straight to the point for you guys if you want to know if I liked the movie or if I didn't like the movie. And my simple answer is, what I've been telling people all the time right now, is I at least wasn't angry like I was with BVS, okay? Let me go ahead and just paraphrase that by also stating that I have actually been waiting for a Justice League movie for quite some time, but I haven't really been on board with what's been going on in the DCEU. So that sort of kind of pushed my notion away of like, a Justice League movie, not right now. But the other thing that I do want to mention is that I actually appreciate what Warner Brothers, what the companies, the studios, even Zack Snyder himself have admitted that there have been problems with their direction. The way they were going is not exactly, hasn't really been working out the way they have expected it to. I do appreciate that they have seen faults in that and they have actually tried to change things. The only problem is the fact that when you start lining up 3, 4, 5, 7 movies all in a row and haven't even put out the first movie yet to test the waters, it leads things to basically a clusterfuck of confusion and changes, last minute changes, and I think that's evident here in Justice League. What we're seeing is one part Zack Snyder's original story, another part Warner Brothers getting involved, and another part Warner Brothers telling Joss Whedon to fix this shit when he was only here just to do some reshoots and sort of kind of putting band-aids and lighting up the moods in certain parts, but not really knowing exactly how to do it, but trying to still put his own sort of spin on it. And like I said, you do get this clusterfuck of different ideas going on. But I will go on record at this moment in time, I'm going to go on record and say that this is still better. This is still better than what we probably would have been handed had Zack Snyder been 100% in control and put out his vision. I know a lot of hard purists wouldn't like that, but I can definitely imagine Justice League being exactly the same. Exactly the same. Dull, very dark, and not a lot of, just look at Zack Snyder's previous movies and tell me I'm wrong. I don't think so. I basically would imagine another Watchmen-ish type movie in Justice League had Zack Snyder not been put to a stop after the BVS catastrophe. That being said, I didn't hate, like I said, I wasn't angry after BVS. There was one scene in Justice League I'm going to get to in a little bit that I did have a really big problem with, and it kind of pulled me out the movie, and it pulled everybody in the theater out the movie, and it was really hard for us to get back into. I was entertained at some spots, I laughed at some certain parts, I, for the most part, wasn't excited about it, watching it, but I was entertained in certain scenes. I always thought that at certain parts of the movie there was things that were going to get in. We were about to get into something really awesome, like this is going to be dope. And whether it be Snyder, whether it be Josh, it just didn't come through altogether. And I'll get into that a little further on as I go by character after character. But overall, this movie, I think, is still pleasing enough for the hardcore fans. I still think they're loving it. I've seen a lot of people come out of it, and those that haven't liked the previous movies from the DCEU, save Wonder Woman, you probably will not like this movie from the DCEU. They're fixing it, but it ain't there yet. It just ain't there yet, okay? Like, if I was a teacher, this is basically, you're just kind of giving a passable grade here. Imagine this being a final. Finals are coming up, right? This is the end of your semester, right? The Justice League is your final test here. But the problem is, the finals is just a collection of all the other tests you've been doing all semester. So no matter how much you've tried to improve in that short amount of time right before the finals, it's the equivalent of everything, baby. It's everything right there. And that's what we're seeing with Justice League. It's still Snyderisms. It's still that original vision, and it's going to take a little longer until we really can see them really improve. And I particularly am excited for the solo movies coming up instead, most of them. And I think that's where DCEU, Warner Brothers, everybody should just be focusing on right now. I know, and I applaud them for trying to do something different, not reinventing the wheel here, not doing what Marvel was doing, solo movies first, then the group movie later. I applaud them for trying to do something different, and in fact, Justice League War, the comic book that a lot of Justice League kind of felt like, it felt like it was based on, started out the same way. The whole New 52 era in DC Comics started with Justice League War. Jeff Johns wrote that, and it just had all these characters just suddenly getting thrown in, and you're like, you were just supposed to roll with it. Even I actually had a problem with that comic because it was weird the way they just kind of made changes with the characters and just threw them in there. The animated version made it a little bit more bearable. I felt the movie could have done even better, but it just wasn't there. Timing, plot, reshoots, a lot of that you can see it's evident. Does it need more time? Did it need more time? I think so. It needed more pacing. I don't know if what's been cut, the 40, 30, 45 minutes that was cut from the movie, I don't know if that's going to help. Just like the Ultimate Edition of BVS, while it explains some shit, didn't necessarily make that movie any much more better. It didn't suddenly completely make me flip my opinion on it, because at the end of the day, you still had a shitty ass murderous Batman that goes against everything that Batman's ever believed in, and you had still a dark, deep, brooding Superman that didn't really look like he wanted to be Superman, and a retired Wonder Woman that didn't really look like she wanted to be a hero, and then they call it the Dawn of Justice. But I digress. Aside from that unlikable heroes stuff, Justice League was still a passable movie that I can see there's a potential in the future of the DCEU, should they choose to do that. Let's go on to individual characters. What did I like? What did I didn't like?
Arthur Curry, also known as the Aquaman. I hear you can talk to fish.
I can dig him. I was down with him. Unfortunately, some of the editing kind of threw me off, and early on, the way they brought Aquaman in really early on, and it just seemed like in one scenario, just his introduction, his beginning, he felt like it was two different characters. The one where Bruce is first talking to him, that entire conversation seemed very weird and just strangely written or directed or edited, one of the two, and then suddenly just, it seemed to me, his entire accent, demeanor, and everything changed once they started walking down and having a nice little stroll. So I was kind of expecting more of him. I wanted to fall in love with him. Wait. I wanted to enjoy him.
I dig it.
I just wanted to like the motherfucker a little bit more. I wanted to like him the same way I liked Thor after the Avengers, you know, because I really did not care about Thor until the Avengers came out. I'm like, God damn, this dude is dope. that's what I was hoping to see. Nevertheless, I do feel like Justice League was kind of a sampler to basically be like, okay, if you kind of like him, you know, if you're into him, stay tuned for the movie. It's probably going to be dope. And that's the part that I thought was really cool. I think Snyder, I'm pretty damn sure it was Snyder, because I can't imagine anybody else doing it that well. I think the biggest highlight for me of Justice League was, one of the biggest highlights was actually the fight in Atlantis. Like, just the idea of them shooting that and making it seem like they were underwater and flying around like that was just so fucking cool. And Mira as well, god damn, that was hot. I mean, she, and you know, I hate to say it, but you know, there were, like, if there's one thing Zack Snyder can do very well visually, and he really makes women look hot and powerful. And I thought Mira was actually one of the best characters in that movie. The way they represented her powers and control of water, excellent. The idea of using water and to make some sort of barrier where they can actually talk, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was very interesting. I thought that was very clever. I don't know how the whole movie they can use that as an excuse. But I'm sure there's ways to do it. I mean, if we can do it in Injustice, the video game, get around, there's ways to do it. Maybe they telepathically talk, I don't know. But otherwise, some of the reshoots, I thought it was kind of weird that they had Aquaman stealing shit for no apparent reason. I mean, like, he wouldn't care about that kind of stuff. If it were me, I would have rather him had found some alcohol or something like that. Like, something like, and then, you know, Bruce Wayne is like, how did you get that? He's like, I have ways, you know, or some shit like that, or like, you know, he steals it, or he finds like just a bottle of alcohol, and he's like, how did you find that? He's like, a little fish told me, or something like that, right? Because the whole joke there was to talk to fishes type of deal. Something like that would have been a little bit better. I don't know why that was just a small nitpick, but little things like that, I would have just liked to see him a lot more. He seemed kind of useless at the end of the movie, to be honest. But honestly, Aquaman tends to be a bit useless when he's, you know, he's like a fish out of water, when he's on land, basically. So, I would have liked to seen a little bit more, but from what we got, it was okay. Batman.
My turn.
Skip.
What did you do this weekend, Diana?
Me? Nothing very interesting.
Wonder Woman! Wonder Woman! Let me talk about Wonder Woman for a bit, because there's two things I want to bring up. One, I love the scene where she first showed up. The way they introduced her was great. I'm pretty sure that they actually reshot a lot of extra scenes with her in it, because that bank scene was just fucking great. Like, I wish they actually stayed on that bank scene a lot more. We saw just more of Wonder Woman's individual stuff going on, because I was really liking what was going on. And I heard that Gal was actually pregnant during most of those scenes. And she was like throwing up in the back privately and all this other shit, but I don't know what it is, but she was just glowing. I thought she did a much better job than she did in the first Wonder Woman movie. I think her acting actually has improved a lot. Like, I don't know, I just, nothing but praise, actually, because I was not really fully impressed with her performance in Wonder Woman, but I felt like in Justice League she worked much better in different scenes, and they did a really good job. Everybody did really well bringing her out there into the limelight. I also thought with dealing with on a side note, Themyscira, dealing with her hometown and her home island, I thought was a great addition to Justice League as well. Like, that chase scene, the whole chase scene with the boombox, I actually thought was better than most of the rest of the movie. Like, I was really into that movie. I was like, hell yes! Like, you could actually feel something. I don't know if it's because we already know about them and the Amazons from Wonder Woman, but I was rooting for them. I was really rooting for them, and I was like, go, come on! Like, I was down with that. So, yeah, it was great. This part was great. However, and this really isn't on Wonder Woman's side, but I had heard a little bit from a few people how they kind of over-sexualized Wonder Woman, and I wouldn't necessarily say they weren't over-sexualizing her, but they definitely were making her more like a plaything. And it was kind of like, after the success of Wonder Woman and post-Weinstein era here, I felt like somebody in the back should have been like, you know what, we probably should cut some of this shit out. Like, there was so much fan service, butt shots, crotch shots, pushed up bras, like big ass titties in your face like that, lots of upskirt angles. It was just weird shit. Like you couldn't help but not notice how much that shit was in there. And there was even this one scene where Flash, I don't know why they needed it, but Flash fell on top of her, and even though, yes, I know he pulled back and such, and it was kind of to show how awkward he was with girls, just the fact that Gal, or Wonder Woman, the character, was kind of smiling and seemed like she kind of liked it or whatever, or she was kind of, I don't know what it was, but it was just like, there was a lot of awkward scenes. And then, furthermore, they started kind of Black Widowing her in a sense where she looked like she was kind of, like, she looked like she cared. She cared for Cyborg. I get it. But then, Barry Allen was kind of looking like he was into her. Then, of course, the whole thing with Bruce and Diana deal was kind of weird. I don't know if that was a reshoot, but it just looked really strange to be like they were fighting for a little while, and then she suddenly comes in with a different, like, scarf around her neck type deal. I don't know if it was to hide her pregnancy or whatever, but I don't know, it just seemed like they were just kind of utilizing her as, like, yeah, like a toy, basically. Like, who's she gonna hook up with? Is she gonna hook up with the black guy? Is she gonna hook up with the fast guy? Is she gonna hit up the bat guy? You know what I'm saying? So, I felt like that, like I said, post Wonder Woman, and knowing how many Wonder Woman fans were gonna come in to Justice League just wanting to see Wonder Woman, I felt like they took a lot of steps back. And it sucks too, because, like, I will be the first to admit, those scenes, that fan service, it did its job. I was like, oh shit, I felt something inside, but then I fucking hated myself because I liked it. And that's wrong. That's wrong in this day and age. God damn it. So, hopefully in the future we don't have that as much. Unfortunately. Damn it!
We're gonna bring in the big guns.
We need you, Victor.
No one else can do what you do.
Thanks, Alfred. But I'll take it from here.
Do I know you?
Cyborg! He was cool. I had no problems with him. I mean, I already know all about his origin and backstory and everything. I think for the average fan or someone just coming into it, really didn't have, like, you really needed to see BVS in order to get some of this shit, or get the abridged version, like, to really feel something a little bit more for these characters. You know, I've said it before, but Justice League is essentially the sequel to BVS, which was the sequel to Man of Steel, but it's basically, Justice League is a sequel to BVS, but it's disguised as supposedly being a standalone movie, but it happens so immediately, time-wise, it happens so immediately after BVS, and so many things are connected to BVS that you can't help but need to know what happened in BVS, and nobody wants to go back down that dark road again. There's so many connections with BVS, and even so many recycled or reused lines from BVS that it was a little frustrating in that sense as well. But in regards to Cyborg, it was just kind of like, all right, I kind of get who he is. He's here. I like the fact that they kind of were trying to develop him with those Wonder Woman scenes. I think that worked out really well in his favor. But I had no problems, and the CG was not as bad as people were trying to say it was. I really never felt like it was taken out. I was taken out of the scene with him. So there was some weird, some of the reshoots or whatever, the way the editing was done, where he takes control of the Fox. I think that's what it was called, and he takes control. And he's like, "Relax, Alfred. I've got this." And you know, I was like, and I'm sitting here like, they're not gonna do the line because they're not gonna do the line. I'm sorry, who's this? You know, Alfred. I'm like, you just saw Diana talking to him and mentioned that she has a date with him, right? So like, again, this I don't know what it is with this editing. Same shit with BBS. He's like, is she with you? I thought she was you. You just emailed her, bro, right? So yeah.
Barry Allen, I know you have abilities. I just don't know what they are. So you're fast.
That feels like an oversimplification. I've never done battle. I've just pushed some people and run away.
The Flash! The Flash! Man. Little mixed with The Flash. The Flash, Barry Allen, aka Wally West, was the comic relief. They needed comic relief. They started passing around to everybody, but he was kind of the main guy. A little weird, a little awkward. And you know, I've seen this guy, Mr. Miller, Ezra Miller, in another movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And I don't know what it is. Like, he seems like a good actor, seems like a nice guy. It's just he plays these really awkward characters, and like, it was just kind of weird for me to be seeing this as Barry Allen. Like, really? Barry Allen? Really? I mean, he just really seemed more like Wally West, and I wish they would have just cast him as Wally West. Yeah, where is Barry Allen? Well, you know, did they ever explain that in the Justice League Unlimited TV show? We had a Wally West in there, and it was the Flash. Fuck, he's Wally West, he's the Flash. If they get into it, they'll get into it another time. I just kind of wish they just had him as Wally West, and it would have been a little bit easier for me to adapt to, especially when he's up there talking to Henry Allen. It just, for me, it just felt like I was watching a more expensive version of the CW Flash, but without that same heart that Grant Gustin and John Wesley Shipp can really carry over in the show. But to be, you know, I am a little biased on that because I used to love the CW Flash show for so many years, and it's connected to me, that just to see this kind of weird version of Barry Allen was just a little weird for me. The effects I thought could have been a little bit better. I was expecting a little bit more from Snyder in terms of the way the Flash utilized this Speed Force. You know, ever since Days of Future and Past, and No Past or whatever, and the Past came out, and we saw how good Quicksilver was in that. Like, everybody was always saying that. Everybody was saying that Zack Snyder's gonna really fuck shit up with his Flash. So it's gonna put it to shame. And it looked like we almost had a moment there. It looked like we almost were about to get that moment in the scene, well, with the sword thing. And I thought he was gonna really do some good shit. I got ready. I was just like, oh, here we go. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna fall on top of your titties, Wonder Woman. It was kind of like, yeah, it's like, oh, damn it, Barry. And a few times there were a few shots where he was running that looked really weird, but as I was kind of talking to somebody on Twitter, my explanation, my subconscious explanation for that was like, they made a line about ice skating, right? Or figure skate, or competitive figure skating, right? So my assumption is that he goes through the Speed Force. His running is more like ice skating or something like that through the Speed Force, and it was kind of weird. Like, there were some good points about it with the Speed Force, but there was points where I was just like, oh, okay, it's not as cool as I thought. Like, I don't know about that, but I still think, regardless, besides all that, I thought it did help lighten. His character did lighten the mood a little bit more, the story a little bit more, and I was fine with that. I don't know if I would ever be interested in seeing a solo movie with him, though. I know they're thinking about doing Flashpoint, or but I don't know. I'll let the trailers decide for that one. But of all the Justice League characters, he's the one that I wasn't really that interested in seeing a standalone movie, and partially it probably has a lot to do because of my dedication to the CW version of The Flash. Okay. I gotta talk about Superman in a bit, but let's go ahead and let's just get fucking Batman out the way here. The good news. Here's the good. Here's the good news. Ben Affleck was the best actor in that entire movie for some reason. Or in terms of the Justice League, every time you saw it, like, he actually was controlling the room. Like, I actually really liked Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne, doing the damn thing, going around the world, recruiting people. Most of the time, I thought it was cool. Like, I was like, damn, I was finally, for this time around, I was finally starting to see Bruce Wayne. I was just like, okay, look at this dude, he's rich, got a bunch of toys and shit. Like, it was working really well. I liked the scene where he just had a bunch of Japanese armor in his area, and as he was working on the bat suit. I wish they kind of kept the bat suit a little bit of a secret, or more importantly, I wish they actually, with all that tinkering was doing, I wish he actually put some, like, I don't know, like, not Kryptonian gloves, but basically like these power brackets or something, like, so every time he punched a motherfucker, like, they would feel it, like, even, like, yeah, like, check the animated version for reference, because that's basically how Batman kept up with everybody else after a while. He started, like, increasing his damage potential. So I really liked him as Bruce Wayne, in how they worked. Like, I really felt he did a great job and he worked that side. However, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fallout from BVS and what Snyder did with Batman in BVS that I can't really, it's like almost unforgettable, because once it's done, it's done. It's just, and I don't know if it was the reshoots, the way they shot Batman a little bit more, or they tried to make him funny, but not like, he's funny, but in like a serious way type of, like, it's more, he's entertaining in that sense, but just some of the lines, and that was like the least of the problems. It just felt goofy to me, him in the bat suit, that first one. It just felt like it wasn't really mixing well with the rest of the group, and some of the shot selections, and like, I'm not a big fan of that first suit, that it looked really like a piñata, like a bloated piñata or something like that, or like a Ruby's costume, those $200 something costumes that people can wear and they have inflatable muscles. It's just something about it that just was not clicking for me. I know it works for some people, but it just was not clicking for me at any point in the movie, especially the introductory scene, which I thought Snyder did a pretty good job at. Like, Gotham actually looked really nice. It was coming to life, but just some of that shit just did not make any sense or look cool at all, and that's the weirdest thing, because I've never felt that about any other Batman, except the George Clooney one. All the other Batman movies, I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to be Batman. Like, you want to be that guy, for me anyways. This Batman, I can't get into. I couldn't understand. I also don't understand, was that dude a criminal in the beginning of the movie or something, that he didn't want to arrest him, or like, what? Was he just using him as bait to get the Paradigm in and to just let him go after that? But is this and the usage of the old school Batman theme song from Danny Elfman just had me yearning for a better, simpler Batman time as the movie had. The times of exploding penguins, right? So I don't know. I don't think it'll ever be for me at this point. Because I know they made some changes, but I can't see it. Like I don't see Batfleck as the Batman I want to be inspired by ever, it seems. And if what we're hearing about the rumors are true and such, I'm so fine with Batfleck just being Snyder's Justice League Batman and passing on the solo movies to someone who also seems to want to be more interested in it. And it is what it is. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to get on it but I'm just letting you guys know that's kind of where I stand. I tried to go in there and like get into it, but it just wasn't, it's not clicking with me, and I really don't think it ever will. And I don't think I'm not interested in seeing an older, frumpier Frank Miller Batman, Frank Miller inspired Batman in solo films. That's the thing about the Frank Miller Batman, is that's it. That's the end story right there. It's pretty much done. After The Dark Knight Returns, Part 2, which shouldn't have been made either, that's pretty much supposed to be that end story for that Miller Batman, and I just can't, I can't imagine 3 more movies with this slow, old, cynical type of Batman while everybody else is just starting to pop off. So whatever they need to do to fix that, they gotta fix it, but I guarantee if they try to do another solo movie with Batfleck and such, it's just not gonna. I don't think even Ben Affleck wants to do it, to be honest. Alright, that's enough there. Let's move on to the big one.
The world has grown darker, and while we have reason to fear, we have the strength not to.
Superman! Fuck, what did I write yesterday? It was good to see him back. So, I liked it. Like, the more I think about it, I like the fact that he came back. I don't know if it's because Henry is like focusing on his American accent or something like that, but in still a lot of scenes, he just came off really wooden again, like really wooden and really stoic. And the more and more I think about it, I think that's just Zack Snyder's directing style. The end credits of the movie and the beginning credits of the movie, I was like, oh shit, he is really fucking feeling like Superman now. He's the motherfucker smiling, right? He's talking to kids. He's doing all that Boy Scout shit, right? And when he's racing the Flash, he's kind of smiling a little bit. Like, it's there, right? And he still feels powerful, but in the obviously Zack Snyder shot scenes, you're just like, damn, why is he so, like, why is he mad? Like, why does he, like, I don't know, when he's talking to Batman, he's like, yeah, you know, I know you don't really like me. And it was funny, but I was just like, does he? I don't know. It was so, some of these mentions of BVS and these feelings of carrying over from BVS just really irked me a bit. But I thought they did a really good job. The fact that when he did come back, it really felt like we finally had the Justice League. The costume looked fucking weird at some points in times. I don't know what it was. It looked like spray on muscles or something like that. I don't know what they did. If it was just the fact that Whedon decided to lighten the scenes up more, but I did like the fact that it actually did look blue and red. It's just that sometimes it looked kind of strange. But all that being said, there was one point in the movie that I mentioned to earlier that just threw everybody out of the movie, and that was just the resurrection of Superman. I don't know if it was just the fact that I was in a military crowd, the full-fledged bunch of Steve Rogers sitting next to me and shit, as usual. But just the whole fucking grave robbing thing and digging up a fucking corpse, and it was just so fucking disrespectful. It really irked me so much. And then on top of that, to have the family portrait in his hand of his father and just kind of tossing it to the side and do a fucking close-up of that, in like it was you could feel the room I was in get so heated on that matter. Probably because a lot of their homies they've had to bury and shit. It was just, it took us all out of the scene, and somebody behind me just yelled. He was like, "That is disrespectful." People got heated, and someone on my right was like, "Are you fucking serious?" When they actually took the body out. It was I was so mad about this. And I was especially mad about this because I felt that there were so many other plot devices and plot sort of situations they could have done that have been introduced since Man of Steel, a Sentinel Kryptonian ship that's already operating and seems to still be operating pretty goddamn fine, could have sensed that Superman was dead after Doomsday attacked them. They went to go get the corpse, and they could have essentially brought that corpse, or that comatose Superman, just like in the comics, put him in the tank, and somehow the Justice League ends there with the mother box. They could have done the same sort of idea and had that same sort of result, not to mention the corpse, or comatose Superman gets rejuvenated like Goku, gets the black suit, and then it gives a better idea for why they were all fighting anyways. It could have been a lot of the reprogramming, or the ship telling comatose Superman that there's intruders, so when he wakes up and he's out of it, you know, he's trying to protect himself in his Kryptonian ship, right? Why doesn't it work on, well, why wouldn't it work on Zod? Then Akasan, well, Zod got his fucking neck snapped, okay? There ain't no coming back from that shit. A Kryptonian killed another Kryptonian, just like black on black crime. Nobody pays attention to that shit. But anyways, that was basically that was the only big thing that really irked me, and it took me a good 20-something minutes to really get back into that movie after that. I know Snyder really wanted to do the Jesus thing with fucking his disciples carrying him in and shit, and the Lazarus pit, resurrecting Jesus Christ from the dead and shit, but I just thought they could have just done that shit a whole lot better. I really thought when Batman even, and then the idea, and this goes back into BVS as well, it's this rationalization by Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, every time with this fucking 1% idea. Every time it's like, we just gotta do it. It's just such a hypocritical sense. There's the hypocritical sense in BVS, and then there's the hypocritical sense that Lex Luthor was doing the same shit in the first movie with BVS. But Bruce Wayne wants to do it because fuck it, we need some firepower and shit. Same shit Lex Luthor was doing, but just because Batman needs Superman's a good guy. All of that was so it irked me so much, but I was with it until I saw the fact that there was actually a body in the coffin. I really thought that Cyborg and Flash were gonna dig up the grave, and the body was gonna be gone, and he would have already been there somehow, some way. But and not to mention that the whole I don't understand then at the end of BVS, the whole Dirt Rising idea. What was that all about then? If So that's my big problem with Superman coming back. Other than that, him being back, I didn't know why he was fighting with the Justice League. He seemed like in BVS he died. He was cool with both Bruce and Diana, but you know, that was kind of like, all right, whatever, I guess. Cool fight though. It was like after a while when I finally started getting into it, I thought it was pretty cool with Flash and the Speed Force and all that. So, and the fact that Superman was just as fast as he was, that was cool, and a great Easter egg as well. Everything else, hey, I liked it. I didn't think Steppenwolf was as bad as people were making him out to be. I thought the CGI was still fine. I did see it, and I'm seeing it in a military base, so it's kind of the quality isn't as good as it may be. My girlfriend seems to kind of be interested to see this movie, so I'll probably watch it again in IMAX, and I'll let you guys know if there's any sort of differences in terms of the CG, if it's really as bad as people are saying it out to be. The whole thing with the reshoots, you know, I kind of, while watching it, I kind of noticed it a little bit. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, but I just thought it was because it was on the cell phone or something like that. Like, it just it looked a little weird, just a bit. But I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. But again, I didn't see it on the highest definition of a screen. But the one thing I will point out about that is, I rather take that, the scenes that they were doing. I mean, I wish you'd just shave the shit off. And I've seen Leonardo DiCaprio wear a fucking amazing wig in that one movie, Django. You know, I don't understand why it was such a big deal to keep that mustache in, unless he's doing underwater fight scenes or some shit like that in Men in Black. But you know, I rather have those reshoots with the weird CGI than not at all, because I do feel that a lot of those reshoots where they had them in the speed run, the race, even as cringy as it was, that interview with the kid really helped show us that, okay, this is Superman. Alright, this is the Superman we've been asking for. Doing corny ass shit and fun things and getting along with people and looking like he enjoys being a hero. I still want to know the fucking answer to his question, the best thing he likes about Earth, but you know, I thought it was cool. I mean, other than that, guys, I thought the movie was passable, basically. That was pretty much it. There are things with the BVS, the nightmare scenes and stuff I wanted to kind of lead up. I thought there was going to be a bigger explanation for that. You know, a lot of, you know, for the longest time after BVS came out, people were saying, nah, man, this is all part of Snyder's plan. He's gonna really pay off in the next movie or in the next movie after that. And I'm just like, man, you just can't do that, man. Like, you can't have these like little hints and hopefully it all comes together. People just don't stick around like that. The average moviegoer doesn't stick around for something like that. Even like Lord of the Rings, you have to have a pretty solid plot put together and really make sure it pans out, so to speak. But you know, a lot of that, like the nightmares, as I was saying, the nightmare scene and Lois, she's the key. I guess that's what that was answered with when Superman was coming out, being resurrected or fighting everybody, and it was kind of like, okay, here's Lois. I thought he was going to get some kryptonite, but no, he just brought Lois in the cop car, and that was the key, I guess, to break him out of his. I mean, I guess that's it. I mean, a lot of shit really didn't need to happen in BVS that happened, that we thought was happening because it was going to tie in the Justice League. You just really didn't need all that. It was, but again, passable. Basically, the movie passable. It's good. They're going in a interesting direction. They're trying to make some changes, and I don't know if I want Josh Whedon to do Justice League 3, but if they do, I hope they do Justice League 3 much further down the road. I think right now DC's biggest strengths is its solo movies and just focus on just telling a good goddamn story, solo story. I'm interested in seeing Aquaman. I'm interested in seeing a Cyborg movie. Wonder Woman 2, I can deal with that now. At first I wasn't, but now I am, you know? Flash, I don't know about that. And then of course maybe down the line with Green Lantern, and we got Shazam coming up as well. Great scenes that they mentioned in Justice League. That's enough. That's all you need. A little hint at it, and it's fine. So, you know, I think a lot of people will go in trying to hate this movie, and they'll find a lot of stuff to hate about it. It's not very well made. It's not very well edited, but I think we can all at least agree that they did make changes to try to make it for the better. And while it might lose a lot of hardcore fans, I think overall it'll try to hopefully it'll start gaining a lot more of the general audience. And I honestly think that's the kind of, for the type of characters we're dealing with, for the type of subject matter and the heroes that kids are supposed to be looking up to, I think that's what we need a little bit more in this world. Okay? Red Nation, stand up, speak up, let me know what you guys think about this movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you mixed on it? I know this might be a pretty long review this time around, but I just wanted to let you guys know everything of what I'm thinking about with this particular movie. It's passable, but it looks like the DCEU is slowly getting in the right direction as it needs to be. Alright, we're out, guys. Peace. Oh yeah, quick side note, didn't really like Danny Elfman doing the music there, and nice little cameo there by Blackpink in the house, baby. Woohoo, bombaya.